Hello?
Hello, is Felicia Rose there?
Yeah, this is she. It's Felissa. It's like Melissa with an S.
Oh, Felissa.
I knew it. I
That's
knew
okay.
it.
My husband called me Felicia for many, many years.
Okay, well, then I don't feel so bad.
How are you?
Good. This is Dustin from KMSU Radio.
I'm thrilled that you called me. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for letting us talk with you today. I'm here with my co-host, Ton.
Hey, Felissa.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. I'm glad I got your name right.
Good. No, that's okay. I don't think anybody's ever called me Felissa. It's okay. That's so funny.
Well, it's awesome. I'm glad you're here. If you're ready, we've got some questions for you.
Yeah, fantastic. Let me go into the other room so we don't have complete Batman children dog noise. Okay.
Great. We appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've dealt with
So
some
what-
pretty hairy canary guests at some points in time.
Oh, have you?
Oh, yeah.
Harry Canary.
Hairy
What
canary.
the hell does
I
that
like
mean?
that.
Remember when Kyle Gass was in like a cafe and there was like cops and ridiculousness
No.
going on? Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
was
Yeah, it's
awesome.
always nutty in my house, so it's hard to get any kind of silence. But I'm trying for some peace, so this is good.
All right. Well, we will start things off and just ask you how you got started in acting.
I got started as a kid. I would do like plays and stuff, locally. I'm from New York originally, and then the local dance studio sort of started sending me on auditions just because they needed kids for like local commercials and things like that. And then lo and behold, I met with a manager who had this crazy audition for a little horror movie, and that's when it all really began for me seriously. So it was just kind of like a local fun acting, singing, dancing type of thing, and it blew up before I really could say, I don't think this is for me. My mom was a total stage mother, so she had me, doing it professionally from like 10 years old.
Wow. So you were dancing first?
Yeah, I was. It's so funny because I never really talk about this. My first passion, my first love was really musical theater. I loved doing, any little girl. I auditioned for Annie and, all kinds of musicals. So I loved singing and dancing. I was in like ballet and tap class from when I was 3 years old. So yeah, I really wanted to be on Broadway, but that never happened.
But it is awesome.
That's how I started.
So, but then you said, I assume you were talking about Sleepaway Camp when you mentioned the small horror film?
Yeah.
So how did you end
a
up...
low-budget horror movie.
It's a little different than singing and dancing in Annie, I guess.
It's funny. The manager actually sent me on 3 auditions the first time they sent me out. And they're like, okay, one is a musical called Really Rosie, and that was off-Broadway. I really wanted that. The second audition was a Tide commercial, and then the third was a horror movie. So I was hoping, maybe I'd get the musical, but I did get the horror movie, so they signed me. And and little did I know what I was getting myself into. They had said they wanted a kind of like a quiet, flat-chested, odd little girl, and I went in there in my overalls and did my best. But the director, Robert, and myself, we got along really, really well. So it was kind of like I walked out of there knowing, like, I think I may have gotten this part.
That's awesome. So we're huge fans of that film, and obviously then of you. So if you can, do you have any like sweet memories or stories or stuff about working on that film?
Oh my gosh, it's like I've racked my brain over the years, just because this little movie turned into kind of like the story of my life, let's say. My husband's like the number one fan, and oddly enough, I've become really close with people who are fans of the movie, like the actor Sean Whalen. He's an incredible actor. He is from The People Under the Stairs, Roach, amongst a million other things, the TV show Lost and what have you. But we met at a convention, and he's just like a big Sleepaway Camp fan. And the director of a movie I just did called Dead TV, he wrote the part because he's such a fan of Sleepaway Camp. And it's just sort of grew into, I guess the real story about Sleepaway Camp is that it's given me a life. It's given me a professional life, a personal life. It's a really strange story, how I started in this little movie when I was 13, and it has just kind of provided the pathway to my whole life. I don't know, it's kind of crazy. But the actual making of the movie was fantastic. I mean, the cast and crew could not have been, any better and more, lovely than they were. And we've all remained good friends. It's just been a really, really cool kind of story. We had a lot of fun making it. It was like being at camp.
Yeah.
Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
It's safe to say then if you had gotten that Tide commercial instead, things may have ended up differently.
Yes, I could actually say I think my life would have, who knows? It's just so crazy what has happened. I mean, it wasn't really until the internet and all the websites came up and people were kind of like fans in the closet. And then they started coming out and saying, like, I'm a fan, anybody else? And then somebody else would say it. And then Fangoria invited us to have a reunion. I think it was 2001. And that's when it really began, where I saw, wow, people really like this movie. And that's when my husband started emailing me, and it kind of like snowballed into this, ever-growing and wonderful kind of, life for me. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Wow.
I'll have to write a book one day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, obviously, there is sort of, I don't know what the right word is, but an interesting ending to that film. Now, did you have any, strange thoughts or reservations about that as a little girl, having to do this ending to this film?
Well, when I went on the first audition, I felt really good about it. I thought I got the part. And then they called me in again to meet with a couple of the producers and Robert. And Robert, there were about, let's say, a dozen girls coming in for the callback. And funny enough, Annie, the girl, Allison Smith, who was Annie on Broadway, was one of the girls.
Oh, man.
So I thought, I don't think I have this part, She's the star of the Broadway show. But Robert took all the moms aside and explained that there was this ending where the little girl is actually a boy, and originally he wanted Ed French to make some kind of device put on me. I'm trying not to spoil. And my mom being, I guess, typical 70s, 80s, sure, yeah. I don't know what she was smoking. Yeah, that sounds good. Cool. My husband asks her to this day, what were you thinking? I mean, your little, we have daughters, and I always ask my husband, would you let them do this? And of course, he says yes. But, fortunately, they did turn it around, because I don't know how it would work. Would I have been naked on top? But they did change it so that they made a mask. Ed French, special effects, amazing person that he is. He made a mask of my face, and they put it on an 18-year-old boy who was actually, standing in the bus.
Wow. There it is.
Spoiler.
Yeah, but that's great. We have the insider's deal right there.
Yeah, it was interesting. And the kid got really drunk and was totally, out of his mind, nervous. And, it was a cold evening, so I do look young.
Wow.
There you go. That's always their excuse.
He's the real star of the movie. You really have to find him.
Yeah, wow. That's...
Ton, you can
no one knows who he is.
I don't want to find that guy.
That's your job to find him.
We don't know. No one's ever heard from him. I mean, we've done so many, conventions and interviews, and we've never discussed who is this guy. I imagine Robert Hiltzik, the original writer-director, he would know. I've never asked him that. I don't know.
That's
I
crazy.
just know that the kid had a horrible night.
Well, you said it was cold, so he's probably in hiding now, maybe.
Yeah, he is. He's somewhere. He's like, no, wasn't me.
I'll get him. I'll talk to him. We'll get
there
him.
You go.
Get him to come out of his shell.
So to speak.
So to speak.
Poor kid. No, it was fun.
Well, now they made, sequels, part 2 and 3. Were you ever considered returning as Angela Baker in those films, or what was the story on that?
It was, I imagine it was 4 years later because I was 17 and I had just applied early to NYU. I really wanted to go and like study at Tisch School of the Arts. So when my managers, I had the same managers, and they said, look, they're making 2 sequels back to back in Georgia. Would you like to go meet with Michael Simpson? He's the new, he's now the creator of these 2. He's the director. And I did. I went and sat with him, and he's an awesome guy. We've, since had, 10 years ago, I think we went and had lunch. But when we sat down to talk about the sequels, I know he was really good friends with Pamela Springsteen, and I think he had it in the back of his head that he would love her to play the part. And I read for it. And you know what? I don't know that I connected with that, it's a whole different kind of movie. It's not like the original one. It's much more like, horror comedy, and she's amazing in it. So I kind of walked away saying, wow, I really want to go to school. And I called NYU, and they said, you've been, they admitted me, but they would not, I couldn't go back, put it off for a year. So it kind of all worked out. I told my managers, I think I'm just going to go to school. And again, I think he had Pamela in his head for the part. So it kind of just went down the way it was supposed to. And she's fantastic. It's funny because I've never met her, and she's a photographer here in LA, and my husband's always trying to get the 2 Angelas together. Hey, why don't you go get some headshots from Pamela Springsteen? It must be some sick, twisted, fantasy in his head,
Man.
I'm like, I'm good with the pictures. That's all right. But I would love to meet her. I think that would be really fun.
Well, that'd be a good icebreaker, I guess, but...
Yeah, what, the fantasy about the husband or getting the picture?
Pictures for you, I guess, depending on which route you want to go, but...
Yeah, my husband would be there with a full, video camera going. So I would definitely love that. I would really love to meet her. I mean, I'm a fan of hers, and, I think she, again, was incredible in 2 and 3 because it was such a different tone. The movie was so different.
Yeah. Well, you said you went to school around that time. Is that why you left acting? I mean, because you were out of the game for quite a while.
Well, then, I sort of did it as a kid. I did a lot of commercials and kind of all kinds of work, and I just, a lot of theater. You get burnt. I mean, when you start from real little, it's kind of, how long can you really kind of manage that? So I did. I went to school, and then I pretty much remained on the theater scene in Manhattan for many, many years. And as I said, not until really 2000 did I think about, what, maybe I will pursue film again and see where it takes me. And then, fortunately enough, I was embraced by the horror community and was offered, different roles in genre films. And I love horror, so it was kind of like a match made in heaven. It just kind of worked out. And it's been great. I mean, it's been a cool career working in the horror genre.
Yeah, I'm noticing, online with your credentials and stuff, you've been in quite a few horror films since, I know Zombiegeddon was one and a couple other ones.
Yeah. And Zombiegeddon, look at that cast. I mean, you have everyone from Debbie Rochon and Brink Stevens, Robert Zadar. I mean, it goes on and on. It's crazy. Yeah. Joe Estevez. So a lot of genre favorites. And fortunately, in coming, kind of back into film in the horror genre in 2000, that's what happened. I started working with some of the amazing directors and actors in the field. So, and I've gotten a chance to be in a lot of cool documentaries, and from that it's led to other projects, and I've partnered up since with Barney Cohen, who was the writer on Friday the 13th, the final chapter. And right now we're collaborating on a couple of reality projects for TV, one that's horror-based and is about a bunch of really cool horror actresses. So, we'll see what happens.
Awesome.
Could be coming your way soon. I think we're going to start filming in the next few months, so that'll be fun.
Okay. Well, and since you've been back, you were also in another Sleepaway Camp film, and then we had read that there's possibly a 5th one in the making too. Is that true?
I'm on the phone very frequently with Robert Hiltzik, and he really would love to remake the original movie, but it's just a matter of funding and not having that Hollywood stamp. He will not remake it with somebody else writing it and directing it. He wants to be fully in charge, and I can't blame him. You know, it's his baby, and if it's going to be remade, he wants to be the one to handle that. So, you know, there's a lot of, it's been thrown around in different capacities. So hopefully he will get the financing and remake it. And I said, if you remake it, can I play Aunt Martha? You know? So that would be cool.
Yeah, awesome. I suppose now would be the time to do it, since it seems like horror remakes are really, all. Really...
Oh my gosh, and they're not, they're continuing. It's like with Silent Night. I'm sorry, I did Silent Night, Zombie Night. So I was Silent Night, Deadly Night was just remade, and Evil Dead, and I mean, all the way back to all the classics, Friday the 13th and everything, Halloween. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think if they find one, they want to do it, and I think Sleepaway Camp is really the last of that kind of 80s slasher. So,
well,
yeah.
Is there any other projects you're working on now or anything coming up?
Well, as I said, I just finished an incredible movie with Danielle Harris and Eric Roberts, and that's called Dead TV. And it was written and directed by a very dear friend of mine, Harrison Smith, who wrote the role because the movie is kind of about like an 80s movie that was created by this director, Julian Barrett, and Eric Roberts plays his role. And I play Rachel Steele, who was the star of the movie. So I'm kind of playing myself. He wrote it tongue-in-cheek for like Angela and Sleepaway Camp. The name of the horror movie in the movie is called Summer Camp. So, it's really an homage to Sleepaway Camp. But yeah, that film I just saw last month. It was completed. And it's incredible. It is fantastic. And he'll be in Los Angeles. He lives on the East Coast, so he'll be in L.A. the end of this month, and we're shopping it around. And we really want a theatrical release for that. And as I said, I have these reality shows. One is horror-related that A&E is interested in. Looks like they're going to pick that up. And then I have this other show with myself, Tiffany Shepis, Bai Ling, Brink Stevens, a bunch of horror actresses, and we'd be actually making a horror movie in the show. So that, network is picking that up now. So yeah, some fun. That's what I've been doing. It's like just, working on films, doing the reality show stuff, and that's keeping me very busy with my 3 kids and 2 dogs and husband and life, right?
Yep, that's how it goes.
Well, we want to say again, we're huge fans, and we really appreciate you talking with us today. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to leave us with?
I always kind of end like any interview saying thank you to anybody who has ever been supportive of the horror genre and Sleepaway Camp. I greatly appreciate it. Keep it, alive and kicking, so to speak. It's the best genre, and we're so lucky to have, even like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is doing so, I'm going to see it Wednesday night, and it's doing so well in the theaters. It's just like, I really appreciate anybody who supports horror, and thank you. I'm really grateful.
Excellent.
That was great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your interest in chatting with me. Thank you very much.
And if we find the naked boy, we'll give you a call.
You better get in touch with me immediately. Absolutely. Absolutely. Have a great day, guys. Thanks so much.
You too. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.